Guys, so you're about to do another discussion. Remember, discussions are just a way for me to get to see you do one problem in more detail. So make sure you take your time and answer all the parts of the discussion so you can get all the points for this easy part of your grade. All right, so on this discussion, I'm just going to warn you, this is probably the toughest one in this course. It deals with completing the square. So I would take detailed notes on this right now. Write down this example so that you can use it when you create your own discussion post. Okay, because this is not an easy thing to remember all in your head. So first you have to know what the standard form for quadratic equations is. So it's just ax squared plus bx plus c. So you have to start with an equation in this form, okay? Then they're going to ask you to complete the square. So they're going to ask you make up an equation in standard form. So you can make any one you want, and then you're going to complete the square. Now, I would suggest you choose one that works out nicely, like this one right here. So I chose these numbers wisely. And as you go, you could always adjust your equation if you chose one that was too hard. So completing the square has a lot of steps, which is why I'm saying write this down, take good notes, so that when you make your own, you can follow those notes. Okay, so the first step is to factor out the coefficient in the equation. So that means I'm going to factor out this 2. So my next line is going to look like 2 parentheses, and I have to divide all of these things by 2. So the first one will just be x squared. When I do 12x divided by 2, this is going to be 6x. And when I do 20 divided by 2, I get 10. Okay, so that was the first step. The second step is to find this b divided by a. So that goes back up here to the original equation. This was my a, this was my b, and this is my c. So b divided by a, and I'm just going to write this off to the side. Okay, so that's 12 divided by 2. Okay, 12 divided by 2 is 6. Okay, then I have to take that 6 and divide it by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then I take that 3 and I have to square it, meaning multiply it by itself. So 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so this is going to be my special number that I'm going to use to complete the square. So I just did that off to the side. That's kind of my scratch work. What I'm going to do with that 9 is I'm going to add it and subtract it inside of these parentheses. So let's go right here. So I'm going to leave everything in the beginning the same, the 2, the x squared, the plus 6x. And then right here is where I'm going to add and subtract that special number 9. So I'm going to have a plus 9 and a minus 9. And then I'm going to keep writing plus 10. That was just from up here. I just brought it down. And that's it. Now notice I did a plus 9 and a minus 9 because that actually equals 0. I didn't change the value of this expression at all. I added a 0, a plus 9 and a minus 9. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to factor the first 3 terms inside the parentheses right here. This should look kind of familiar because we've used this one probably lots of times. This is a perfect square trinomial. So if you recognize it, this is actually x plus 3 squared. But if you didn't recognize it, that's okay. You can still just factor it. So this x squared plus 6x plus 9, you're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to be 9 and add up to be 6. So that's where I get this x plus 3 and x plus 3. And I still have a minus 9 and a plus 10. So for our purposes, I'm going to rewrite this x plus 3 times x plus 3 as x plus 3 squared. And I still have minus 9 and plus 10. So at this point, I'm going to distribute that 2 back through to each of these terms inside the parentheses. So I'm going to have 2 times this x plus 3 squared minus 2 times 9 is 18, and 2 times 10 is 20. So I'm almost done simplifying. I can simplify this part a little bit more. So I have 2 times x plus 3 squared, and negative 18 plus 20 would be a plus 2. So I did it. I got all the way here to a simplified form. That is how you complete the square. So it gave me a perfect square trinomial, and then I have this plus 2. So that is not an easy task to do, but if you follow these steps every single time, it will work. So hopefully you wrote these down so that when you make up your own equation, you can follow along with those steps.